are excited to present the Naval Academy Clarinet Quartet today. Some of you may remember the wonderful concert we heard last year performed by the Naval Academy Brass Sextet. It's great to have the members of the Academy back at college. As members of the United States Naval Academy Band, the Navy's oldest and finest, has been providing music for the Brigade of Midshipmen and surrounding communities since 1852. The Clarinet Quartet members have each performed extensively as soloists, chamber, and orchestral players across the country. Please know that there will be a Q&A immediately following the concert. At this time, I'd like to kindly remind you to turn off your cell phones. Thank you, and please join me in warmly welcoming the Naval Academy Clarinet Quartet.
On behalf of our commander, Lieutenant Commander Bruce McDonald, we'd like to welcome you to today's performance. This is the Naval Academy Band Clarinet Quartet. We're a relatively new group at the band, one of the newer groups. We've only been together for 2 years performing now. And I'd like to take a moment just to introduce the members of the group. I'm Chief Musician Don Henry. This is MU1 Ben Redwine. He's on clarinet, and later you'll see him also play some E-flat clarinet. Sheila Cullen, and Ben Boker, who is playing bass clarinet today. So we started off with a Prelude Fugue by Bach, and now we're going to move to something very different. We play a wide variety of music, and the next thing we're going to play is by Alfred Uhl. He's a 20th century composer, Austrian composer, violist, and he wrote a lot of chamber music. He also wrote 48 studies for the clarinet. This next piece, called the Divertimento, is one of the standards in the clarinet quartet repertoire. So we hope you enjoy it. Thank you.
So the next piece you see on your program is by Astor Piazzolla. Piazzolla was an Argentinian composer who studied with Nadia Boulanger, and he kind of reinvented the tango, combining classical music with jazz, with some rock elements. And this is a piece originally written for flute and guitar, and it's been arranged for Clarinet Quartet. You get to pull out the E-flat clarinet, and 4 movements of the history of the tango, according to Piazzolla.
It is a lot of fun. Are there any clarinet players in the audience? Sweet. You should play that piece. It's really fun. So we're going to conclude this afternoon with Klezmer Triptych by Mike Curtis. And one very cool thing about Mike Curtis is that he's actually still composing constantly. We were actually in touch with him, and he was absolutely thrilled that we were playing this piece. And actually, since then, he's been emailing me saying, "Hey, I have this other piece. Do you want to play this one? Do you want to play this one?" So he's really excited about us playing this. And this is also a total blast for clarinet players. We really encourage it. Chamber music is a great way to just get together, make music, have a good time, and especially when there's so much wonderful literature out there. So again, thank you so much for coming. We've really enjoyed playing for you, and I'm sure we're having the question and answer here shortly, so we'll play this and get to that. All right? Thank you.
All together.
It's always a starter. Well, oh, yes.
Enjoyed it very much, thank you. I play alto sax. I have many questions to ask, mainly pertaining to your military service and your musician ability here. Sounds stupid, but I'm going to ask it. Do you have an arsenal of instruments to choose from, or what do you have? You have to provide your own instruments?
Yeah, I can answer that one. So as active duty members of the U.S. military, one of the great perks of our job is that the United States government has to provide everything that we need to do our job, just like a weapon or a ship or a computer, anything. Our mission is musical, so anything that we need, from instruments to reeds to ligatures to cases to instrument stands, anything that has to do with our instrument is free of charge to us to use in a duty area. So usually when a new player gets into our band, it might take a few years through the budget to work it out, but almost every player will get an instrument of their choosing. And because of the very high demand of our job, pretty much the sky's the limit in terms of what kind of instrument you want to play that is new. They won't buy a used instrument. Some people prefer to play like an older instrument. Like I know some of the string players that play down, we don't have any strings in our band, you know, they love to play on older instruments. I know the government I don't think they have permission to buy like vintage instruments. But in terms of anything that's on the market, the newest, I know two of the clarinet players here in our group are playing on the new Tosca clarinet offered by Buffet. And that's like their newest and most highest end line clarinet that they make. So one of the great perks of our job is like, oh man, I can't personally afford a Tosca clarinet, but the government will provide it for me. Now we don't get to keep the instrument when we leave the service. I know it's been a point of contention. There's been people who have been in, I have a colleague in the Army band who got a Buffet clarinet when he got into the Army 30 years ago, and he just retired a few years back. There's almost virtually no way for him to take that instrument with him, even though he played it exclusively, and that instrument probably won't be reutilized. It probably will be sold on a pallet by the government. So you can't keep the instrument when you leave the service, but when you get in, as soon as you leave, you got to give back. Everything except for like minor property, like reeds, stuff like that.
And that money comes from your tax dollars.
Yeah,
so
it's your
thank
tax
you very
dollars.
much.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah.
That's true.
Anyway, so if a young person wants to join the military, they can take and put in for a job to repair instruments. Is there a division for that?
Did you say repair?
Yes.
Okay, so that's,
Pads have to be replaced,
yes.
all that kind of stuff. So does the military provide a service to repair?
I can't.
You swap them out for something new.
No, what happens is in our band, I'll tell you specifically what I do, but I have a little bit more insight with some of the other military bands in the Army and the Marine band and so forth. Our band, we don't have a repairman. We have some people that have some minor training in instrument repair, but nothing major. So we outsource all of our instrument repair. So we'll take it generally to a repairman of our choosing when the money's available. It's really weird how the money becomes available. So sometimes you have a broken instrument and it will stay broken and you have to play something else for a while until the money comes through to repair it. But it's outsourced to a civilian specialist in like woodwinds or civilian specialists in brass instruments to get that instrument repaired. Now in the Army, I know in the Army field band, they have a staffed repairman. And that's really unique. That's somebody whose full-time job is to repair the supply that they have within their band. But that's pretty unique. So there is a job, that job does exist, the instrument repairman, but I think there might only be one or two, I don't know, is there any, just one in the whole military.
That's pretty rare. I know the Air Force does not have that.
Yeah.
I have two more questions and I'll sit down.
Sure.
One, what will you do when it comes time for you to retire? Will you stay with the military as a consultant, or will you eventually move
Yeah, we'll have the person who's closest to retirement. Yeah, answer that question.
I have a son in the Air Force, and he's 11 years in. And that's why one of the reasons I'm asking these
Well, this,
questions.
especially our job's very specialized, and so there really isn't a civilian equivalent unless you get into an orchestra when you retire. And the retirement is great, but it's not enough to live on completely. So I've seen so many people come up to retirement and say, "Oh, what am I going to do now?" So really, what is it? Your son? Your son. So what your son should be doing is to be preparing for what he wants to do when he retires. And
He's working on his doctorate right now.
good, excellent. So do that kind of thing. Go to school.
He works with the money, finance department.
Okay. The military offers incredible educational benefits. I'm taking advantage of it right now, pursuing a doctorate degree, and so you basically set yourself up for retirement in either continuing what you're doing in the service or something completely different.
Okay, the last question is, do you guys see sea duty, or does your job keep you out of harm's way pretty much?
Well, I think I can in an educated way answer that question. I'm not 100% sure. We personally don't see sea duty. The Navy has 13 bands. 2 of them, including the one that you're seeing, the component we come from today, the Naval Academy Band and the United States Navy Band are what the Navy deems as premier bands. And what that involves is, in order to have the musical expertise and the musical benefit of keeping you can't with these premier bands, they think it's beneficial to not move personnel in and out of the band. Like, you got a clarinet section, we want that clarinet section to sound good, and the only way that clarinet section can sound good is if we keep these 12 people together. And so one of the side benefits for us is that we get to stay in Annapolis, Maryland until we're done. So that's one of the really, really nice side perks of this job, and also in Washington, D.C. Now, the Navy has 11 other bands, and those bands, just like the rest of the regular Navy, they rotate around between bands. And if I say this correctly, I'm not positive about this, but I think 9 of the 11 are designated shore billets. So even in the 11 fleet bands, only 2 of the bands are designated to have their personnel go aboard a ship and actually see sea duty. And I think that's the one in Japan. I know the one in Japan is I think Okinawa. There's a band there, and they actually do see sea duty for 6 months at a time, going aboard ship, playing music, amongst other things. And then there's one other band, but the nine other duty stations, the Navy has bands in San Diego, Jacksonville, Norfolk, Italy, Naples, Italy. Those are all designated shore billets, and they're not fit for sea assignments. So
I've been in this band for 14 years, and I've played on 2 ships. They were both tied up to the dock.
so, hope that answers your question. Yeah, no problem.
Yes.
How many voices are there in the clarinet range?
Oh,
Quite a lot.
Quite a
You
lot.
have there are some outside of what I'm going to tell you, but basically you have the contrabass clarinet in the key of B flat. It's huge, and it rattles the room when you play it. And then you have, up from there in E flat, the contra-alto clarinet, and then up from that in B flat, the one that Ben played, the bass clarinet, and then in E flat, up from there, the alto clarinet, which you didn't see today, and up from there, the B flat clarinet.
oh, clarinet.
Well, I've got a story to tell, so just...
Sorry, Ben.
So you have the B flat clarinet, and then up from there you have the E flat clarinet, and that's your typical clarinet family. Thrown in there,
That's the highest voice.
yes, thrown in there to confuse things are, like they said, the A clarinet, which is used a lot in orchestra. There's a G clarinet used in folk music in Turkey. There's a C clarinet used in a lot of old operas, and there's an A flat clarinet that's actually higher than this, and I played one, and it's impossible to play, so you'd probably never hear it.
There's a little tenor saxophone. And what's to distinguish these straight instruments from, say, the tenor saxophone?
The shape of the inside, the bore. You want to talk about that, Ben?
So there's conical instruments and cylindrical. Conical meaning that the bore is shaped like a cone, so the bore does not expand as it goes down the instrument. Tenor saxophone is a cylindrical instrument, so if you were to lay it out flat, it has a more gradual widening, and so it makes more of a cylinder. And it affects the physical properties of the instrument.
But that's backwards, right?
Backwards.
Conical.
Cylindrical doesn't.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Yes.
Cylindrical and conical. I'm sorry. Conical is the cone. Cylindrical is the cylinder. So clarinets are all cylindrical. They're all cylinder, and that affects the way that the instrument overblows, the overtone series, and everything. Affects the timbre. So all clarinets are cylinders.
And if you see a bass saxophone, have you seen one of those? It's huge. And then compare it to the contrabass clarinet, which is also big, but not nearly as big as that. They have the same range, and that's part of the difference in the.
Still, yeah. No matter how big the clarinet gets, it's still going to not expand as it goes down the length of the tube.
Is klezmer music always in a minor key?
D minor. Seems like everything seems to be in D minor. Really popular key. Just has folk implications, and I don't know what those are. But yes, it seems like every klezmer tune I've ever played is in D minor, and not in any other keys. D minor only.
Final question, what does it mean for the clarinet as a B-flat clarinet?
Different instruments in the orchestra can be designated as a transposing instrument or a non-transposing instrument. I won't get into I'm not sure I'm really educated enough to say the reason why certain instruments are transposing, but when you put the B flat in front of it, it's designating that the clarinet is a transposing instrument. And so if you have music on a piano, and you were to play the piano, and I was to come up and read behind you exactly what you're reading, we would not be reading in the same key. So it's in B flat, meaning that it sounds, when you play a C on the clarinet, you're playing a B flat, a concert B flat. So that's it. When you see like an F, like French horn is pitched in F, that means when they play a C, they're actually playing the F below it.
And for the clarinet, the reason for that was when it was first invented, it didn't have all of the keys, so you couldn't play all the notes. So if you were to play in the key of B flat, you'd have to play a B flat instrument to have most of the notes in the scale. And if you were to play in D, you'd have to play a D clarinet to play most of those notes.
Right. Yep.
Yes. Question?
I played I don't go stone that. I played in the Coast Guard band in New London.
All right.
I played a B-flat clarinet. Did you tell me you had a buffet?
Yes, that's right.
Yeah,
I think we all play on a
I
buffet.
have a buffet that's gathering dust in my closet. Do you, as with your group, do you travel a lot? You explained that a moment ago, and I kind of missed it. Do you do a lot of traveling as a group, or are you pretty much localized where
We've
you're
been talking
stationed?
about one of those guys.
The academy bands are, well, 4 of them, I mean, but the Coast Guard's a little different because the Coast Guard, that is the only Coast Guard band. But like West Point, the Air Force, and us, our primary mission is to support the academies. So we are not touring bands. That is our #1 mission. We can go and play at a music conference, a major music conference, or we can go and we can play other places. We can go different places, but primarily we stay in the Annapolis area. We'll go up to Pennsylvania, down to Virginia, but that's our thing. Now, the DC bands, they go all over the place, and they go on tours, and then a lot of the smaller bands will do the same thing.
And I would add to that our band, I don't know if this is unique just to the Naval Academy, but our band is pretty heavily integrated musically into the actual students at the academy. We have players that go play with them when they do their spring musical. We support football, obviously. We support basketball. So there's a component of our band that actually will go, if Navy goes to a bowl game, they will go do like a tailgater with them. We have a rock band. They're amazing. The Electric Brigade, if you ever get a chance to hear them, they are really good. So we do travel when it's primarily has to do with the brigade and the academy. But we do, I mean, our brass ensemble this December is actually going to the Midwest Clinic in Chicago. So we do a fair amount of that kind of stuff too, but not nearly to the extent that some of the other bands do.
We saw a small group down in Rock Hall
Mm-hmm.
perform down there.
Combo, yeah.
Just, I think it was 4 pieces,
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure. Not all clarinets, by the way.
Was it a jazz combo?
It was a jazz
Yep.
combo, yeah.
Yep.
And they performed down there, and it was a free entry for us. I mean,
Oh, yeah.
you pay to go there sometime, but this was free for us, being a service.
Absolutely. All of our concerts are free, open to the public. So.
Well, you guys are wonderful. Thank you very much.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
There was a lady that had a question from this.
Well, I think it's probably been answered.
Okay.
Kind of following up on Jordan's earlier question, I was going to say later, if you had your druthers, at least for your soprano instruments, you're all pretty much
other things. I played Selmer's Signature for about 5 or 6 years, and then when I finished my graduate degree, I started taking auditions, for orchestras and military bands, and nothing was really cutting it. And I actually went back to buffet, and that's where the magic started happening. And I was like, oh, okay, sounds good. So I've been playing them ever since.
There's several good clarinet manufacturers, and like he said, we can kind of choose what we want to play, and so.
It's awesome.
Right.
I was just curious about the ranks. What is an MU1, MU2,
Sure.
and what is the progression of ranks within the music?
Sure. Well, in the Navy, there's a thing called a rate designator, and so it's usually 2 letters. I think sometimes it's 3 letters, and it's the variety. How many rates are there now in the Navy?
A lot.
I don't know, 30, 40, 50? MU means musician. That's the rating. That's what your specialized job. Because the Navy has a highly specialized force, maybe I'd argue more so than the Army or the Marine Corps or the Air Force.
That's why we have our fun little lyre.
Yeah, the little lyre on our rank designates that we're a musician. And so when we wear these uniforms around Navy installations, people can see that and they'll know that we're a musician. Oh, actually they don't, because they see the lyre and they're like, what is
that thing?
Yeah, they're like, what job in the Navy is that? So they don't understand it. But then you see these hash marks here, and this designates the rank. So all of us, except for Chief musician, she has a rocker here, and that designates that she's higher ranking than the 3 of us. And yeah.
It means I've been in longer.
No. So in our band in particular, the rank structure is pretty simple. This is the 3 of us are the lowest rank in the band, and this is 1 rank up, and there's only 2 more ranks above that. We get a star right here, and then the 2 stars, 1 star is called the senior chief, 2 stars called the master chief. So there's only 4 ranks that exist within this band. There's 9 enlisted ranks in the Navy, but because of the specialized nature of our band, we get a beautiful promotion upon completing basic training to this level, which is E6. So this is 6, that's 7, there's an 8 and a 9 pay grade above that. So, yeah, that's, I don't know, is there anything else we want to say?
We don't.
No, we don't get to wear the braids.
Fanciness.
No.
Just on our pajamas.
Well, a question for, or maybe some advice that you could give for our students. A lot of our music department students are just, forming ensembles on their own.
Cool.
And we have, for instance, the steel pan ensemble that's just starting. We have the saxophone quartet. We have a brass quintet. And you had mentioned at the beginning that as a clarinet quartet yourselves, you've only been together for 2 years. Could you give us some advice as to what would keep this continuity going within chamber ensembles? Any sort of suggestions you would have for our students?
Sure, absolutely, definitely. We get to see each other a lot through not just Clarinet Quartet, but between the 4 of us, we play in lots of different groups. So Ben, well, on and off. What you don't know about this Ben is that he plays the clarinet, the bass clarinet, the alto sax, the tenor sax, the bari sax, the piccolo, the flute, the oboe, and he is a total ninja at all of those things. So it's really great. There's tons of different groups within the Academy band. There's a jazz band, there's a concert band, brass ensemble, brass quintets, woodwind quintet, clarinet quartet, rock band, lots of different groups. So when we say we've been playing together for 2 years, as a quartet we have, but we play together in our concert band section quite a bit. So we're always playing together. So the most important thing I would recommend to the chamber groups is just spend time together. Play music, find new music. It's really easy, especially through a collegiate atmosphere, through like interlibrary loan. You can get anything. That's one of the amazing perks about being at a college. You can get all kinds of music that you can use for educational purposes and learn and play, which is awesome. You can also find music that you like and you can transcribe it. Like for saxophone quartet, if there's popular music that you really like, that you're like, man, I'd love to play this, like just a little. If you like video games, which, like.
Well, and another thing to keep the group, motivated and going, you have to perform. You have to keep performing. So
look for outlets.
Recitals, venues, whatever, whether they're here at the college, whether they're, at a church somewhere in a recital series, perform. That way the group is always having something to look forward to and pick music and to work on.
Absolutely.
Is the saxophone quartet here? Anyone from that? Well, you might
What did you say? I'm sorry.
They
You-
might have had class.
you might relate to them that piece we played, the Piazzolla, if they like that, that's
That
also
was
arranged for
wonderful.
saxophones.
Yeah,
Yes, it is.
absolutely.
So are most of the pieces on the program that you played, they're arranged, and yeah, I definitely imagine Bach did not write
Yeah,
for
I think
clarinet
the
quartet.
nocturne is unique to the quartet.
That's original. Uh-huh.
And
The
oud.
klezmer, the
Well,
oud,
no,
and the klezmer
That's
triptych.
not, I don't
Yeah,
think
it was.
Oh, yeah, it is,
Yeah.
yeah. The
Yeah.
old is too, yeah.
There's,
So three
there's
of them.
quite a lot of material for the clarinet quartet.
Mhm.
Is it?
It's
And
great for quartet, like a
both,
four-piece
both
group.
original and arranged.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I would just say keep getting together and playing, and absolutely have goals, have concerts you're playing so that you have things to prepare, so that you have a reason to get together and play.
And have fun.
And have fun. Yeah, we do have a lot of fun.
Yeah, I think that's the key. This element of what you saw us do today is not really has nothing to do with why the Naval Academy Band exists. It exists really to have these ceremonial bands and these marching bands and the concert band too to figurehead it. This is just a small breakout that I think it's safe to say that we do this for ourselves and we do this for the joy of the music. And I don't mean to, I don't think there's a whole lot of money in chamber music. I certainly, if you're the best in the world, maybe, but it's so fun to play, and nobody's going to be calling you say, hey, I've got a chamber music gig. You've got to go out and find those opportunities for yourself, and that's the hard thing. You got to be really motivated to go out and find those opportunities and find reasons to practice and play this music, because it's not a super lucrative endeavor, even within the confines of our band. You know, they're not going to be pushing the Clarinet Quartet. They got their hands full with so many other requests coming in every day. But we do this for ourselves, and we love it. So.
Okay.
Another question?
One more.
Do you periodically have to go in front of a review board or have a conductor or officer hired in you all that you have to play for them
Oh,
to be able to maintain your status as to where you're located?
No, we just have evaluations, just like in the civilian world. So as long as, you're doing okay and doing your job, you get good marks on your evaluation, so there's no...
There's going to be somebody that determines whether you're doing okay or not.
there are.
Yeah.
Everybody has a supervisor, basically. It's someone who writes their evaluation each year. It's done annually, and there's also a midterm. So you meet with your person every 6 months and tell them how they're doing, whether they can improve, or what they're doing great at, maybe some new opportunities they might want to look at, like leadership opportunities. And then that's the 6-month period, and then at 12 months, then there's a written evaluation. And you sit down and you talk with the individual again. So there's a lot of feedback. And there's also, the Navy has something called a career development board that happens periodically through your career, and that's an actual board of people who sit down with you and talk to you about all sorts of things. Your career, finances, to make sure you're in line so that when you do get out of the military, you're set for success.
But musically, it's peer pressure, because I don't want to not practice and sound bad next to her.
That's right.
Musically, that's very true.
Yeah, what you're saying. And Sunday, if you're not doing anything, the group I play with is having a concert geared toward military music. So you're welcome to come at 4 o'clock Sunday, Manual Episcopal Church across from the park.
Cool.
Yeah, we'd love to come play them.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much
Absolutely.
for coming to Washington College and for taking the time